my loved ones, and welcome to the Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Joy Lynn, and I am a practitioner here at the center. Thank you for choosing to join us in our virtual service this morning, either on Facebook or YouTube. If you are new to our community, welcome. Please take a moment to press the link and fill out our digital contact card. We would love to hear from you, and please introduce yourself in the chat feed so we can get to know you. To all who are sharing this time with us today, I invite you to interact during our service by writing your comments, thoughts, and feelings into the chat feed. We love and appreciate you. Our mission statement best expresses what we do and who we are at ABQCSL. Please join me. We are love in action, transforming lives, transforming communities. Our discussion questions for this week are: how are you finding ways to live fully during the COVID-19 pandemic? And is there a situation in your life where you can let go of the outcome and allow for a greater unfoldment? I will write these in the chat in just a moment for your convenience. At this time, please join me in our candle lighting ceremony. Today's candle lighting is in deep gratitude for every person who gave their time, talent, and treasure to having our voices heard through the precious process of our right to vote and having every vote count. Enjoy the service.
Good morning, my beloveds. I am practitioner Clarissa Crow, and I'm so grateful to be with you today. Please join me in prayer. We take this moment to recognize the power and the presence of the One. This power and this presence is right here, exactly where each of us is. It is not some abstract concept. It's not a being in some faraway place. The power of the One, which I call God, is as close to us as our very breath. It is literally having its being as our being right now. The expressions of God are always changing, always moving. Everything in the world of form grows, changes, and passes away. We are part of that flow, and we are also the infinite, changeless, eternal, limitless essence of life itself. And as we connect to that truth, as we embrace the truth that we are all of it, I know that our awareness expands, our understanding deepens, our hearts open, and we allow ourselves to fully experience whatever it is that shows up for us. During this service, during this season that we are moving into, during this interesting time on the planet, knowing that we are loved, knowing that we are guided, knowing that there are gifts for us in the midst of all of it. in the bright light of the sun, in the pale light of the moon, and even in the places where it appears there is no light. God is there. Love is there. We are always standing on sacred ground because we are the way that God shows up. I know that this is so, and so it is. So, our reading and meditation for today is a poem by David White called The Faces at Braga. In monastery darkness, by the light of one flashlight, the old shrine room waits in silence. While beside the door, we see the terrible figure, fierce eyes demanding, "Will you step through?" And the old monk leads us, bent back, nudging blackness, prayer beads in the hand that beckons. We light the butter lamps and bow, eyes blinking in the pungent smoke, look up without a word, see faces in meditation, 100 faces carved above, eye lines wrinkled in the handheld light. Such love in solid wood. Taken from the hillsides and carved in silence, they have the vibrant stillness of those who made them. Engulfed by the past, they have been neglected. But through smoke and darkness, they are like the flowers we have seen growing through the dust of eroded slopes, their slowly opening faces turned toward the mountain. Carved in devotion, their eyes have softened through age, and their mouths curved through delight of the carver's hand. If only our own faces would allow the invisible carver's hand to bring the deep grain of love to the surface. If only we knew, as the carver knew, how the flaws in the wood led his searching chisel to the very core, we would smile too, and not need faces immobilized by fear and the weight of things undone. When we fight with our failing, we ignore the entrance to the shrine itself and wrestle with the guardian, fierce figure on the side of good. And as we fight, our eyes are hooded with grief and our mouths are dry with pain. If only we could give ourselves to the blows of the carver's hands, the lines in our faces would be the trace lines of rivers, feeding the sea where voices meet, praising the features of the mountain and the cloud and the sky. Our faces would fall away until we, growing younger toward death every day, would gather all our flaws in celebration to merge with them perfectly, impossibly, wedded to our essence, full of silence from the carver's hands. So as I read through the poem a second time, I invite you to not only listen, but go on the journey and be present to the insights and meanings that rise to the surface for you. In monastery darkness, by the light of one flashlight, the old shrine room waits in silence. While beside the door, we see the terrible figure, fierce eyes demanding, "Will you step through?" And the old monk leads us, bent back, nudging blackness, prayer beads in the hand that beckons. We light the butter lamps and bow. Eyes blinking in the pungent smoke, look up without a word, see faces in meditation, 100 faces carved above. Eye lines wrinkled in the handheld light, such love in solid wood. Taken from the hillsides and carved in silence, they have the vibrant stillness of those who made them. Engulfed by the past, they have been neglected. But through smoke and darkness, they are like the flowers we have seen growing through the dust of eroded slopes, their slowly opening faces turned toward the mountain. Carved in devotion, their eyes have softened through age, and their mouths curve through delight of the carver's hand. If only our own faces would allow the invisible carver's hand to bring the deep grain of love to the surface. If only we knew, as the carver knew, how the flaws in the wood led his searching chisel to the very core, we would smile too, and not need faces immobilized by fear and the weight of things undone. When we fight with our failing, we ignore the entrance to the shrine itself and wrestle with the guardian, fierce figure on the side of good. And as we fight, our eyes are hooded with grief, and our mouths are dry with pain. If only we could give ourselves to the blows of the carver's hands, the lines in our faces would be the trace lines of rivers, feeding the sea where voices meet, praising the features of the mountain and the cloud and the sky. Our faces would fall away. Our faces would fall away until we, growing younger towards death, growing younger towards death every day, would gather all our flaws in celebration, to merge with them perfectly, impossibly, wedded to our essence, full of silence from the carver's hands, full of silence from the carver's hands. Namaste.
Pray early in the morning, pray late at night, pray in times of trouble, pray when things are going right, pray in groups of people, pray when you're all alone, pray when you're traveling on the road, pray when you are safe at home. There are no magic words for you to say. You don't even have to open your mouth, 'cause God hears you anyway. Each day holds blessing that's only a thought away. We turn the key that unlocks the door to faith when we pray. Pray when you are angry, pray. Pray when you are full of grace. Pray when you never seem to go away. We turn the key that unlocks the door to faith when we pray. Pray when you are happy. Pray when you are feeling sad. Pray for things that have slipped away. Pray for things you hold in your hand. Pray for those who have stumbled, who seem to have lost their way. Pray that they will find a path. Pray that leads them to a brighter day. There is no magic wand for you to wave. There is no special mantra you need to say. Each day holds a blessing that is only a thought away. Turn the key that unlocks the door to faith when we pray. We open the door to God's power when we pray.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jeff McNutt, Community Director and Practitioner here at the Center, and you're joining me here in my home office / COVID bunker with Bosco Crow. And Bosco is celebrating his 100th birthday in dog years, so I just wanted you to get a chance to meet Bosco if you haven't already. So earlier in the service, Joy Lynn shared with us a couple questions, and I just wanted to thank you for all of the responses coming in over the chat feed. It's so wonderful to hear your observations about these, and I thought I'd just share a little bit about what's on my mind. How are you finding ways to live fully during the COVID-19 pandemic? And I know for me, I'm playing a little game called Object Inventory, and right now you're seeing my library where I have all my books and keepsake objects, and the game goes like this. I pick up an object and I ask myself, where did this come from? And what does it mean to me? And is it still relevant in my life? And if not, am I willing to let it go? And I find if I am willing to let it go, that all it does is open up space for more wonder and more joy to flow in. And it's just a great little game to occupy my time during all of this isolation and uncertainty. So try it if you want. Second question being, is there a situation in your life where you can let go of the outcome and allow for a greater unfolding? And, you know, all of our work here at the Center right now is just that. You know, I have absolutely no idea where all of these circumstances and all of this is taking us. And that's okay, because I do know that I am exactly where I need to be right now. And knowing that, I am filled with gratitude for the journey and getting to share it all with you. So that enormous outpouring of gratitude is what is sustaining me. And I thank you for that. And with that, I have a favor to ask you. If you're willing, after this service, if you're willing to take your cell phone and hold it out at arm's length, much like I'm doing right now, filming this on my phone, and I'd like you to shoot a 1-minute video. Introduce yourself and let us know what you're grateful for and how this time is going for you. I'm sure by now you're tired of seeing my mug and Reverend Amani's face and all the usual suspects every week, and quite frankly, we are too. So we would love to see and hear from you. You can email these videos to me at community@abqcsl.org. That's community@abqcsl.org. We're in our season of light right now, and we're planning a wonderful Thanksgiving Eve service and a Christmas Eve service and a New Year's Eve service and a workshop on New Year's Day. And so what I would like is to be able to utilize these videos in gracing these services by letting everyone see and hear from you. Can't wait to see them. Thank you so much. And with that in mind, everything that we're doing, all of these services and the spirit groups that are ongoing and our classes, all are happening because of your generosity and your caring and your love. And trust me, we feel it all and appreciate it all every single day. On your screen now, you'll see the text to give number. Please use that to quickly and simply give a gift of any amount. Once you start that process on text to give, you'll receive instructions on how to complete that transaction. Or you can go on to ABQCSL.org, and there's a donate now button and another secure way to give. And you can even set up a recurring gift to us that helps us to sustain our operations using the website. So thank you again for everything. And I am so grateful for each and every one of you. And right now I'd like to share that abundance by reading the Abundance Affirmation by my dear friend Paul Cuffey. My community is my refuge. In the darkest of times, I join with my community and find solace in spirit. We are all each other's keepers. Our love is our gift. I give with love to my spiritual family, and with love I receive all blessings. Ashe, Aho, Iasies, Amen, and so it is. Looking at the devil, grinning at his gun. Fingers started shaking. I begin to run. Bullets started chasing. I begin to stop. We begin to wrestle. I was on the top. I wanna thank you for letting me be myself again. I wanna thank you for letting me be myself again. Stiff all in the collar, in the face. Tit-tat-tat to try it. Stuck me in the place. Thank you for the party, but I could never stay. Many things is on my mind. Words in the way. Thank you for letting me be myself again. Thank you for letting me be myself again. Hit it, Jeff. Dance to the music all night long. Mama started shaking. Mama started to cry. Mama, she's happy. Mama started to cry. started singing. You can make it if you try. I wanna thank you for letting me be myself again. I just wanna thank you for letting me be myself again. Making eyes of people prayer burning into you. Many men are missing much, failing what to do. Using truth for making love, make it water now. Dying young is hard to take, telling is living hard. I wanna thank you for letting me be myself again. I just wanna thank you for letting me be myself again. Thank you for letting me be myself again. I wanna thank you for letting me be myself again.
Thank you to the ABQCSL players, Michael Herndon, all of our incredible humans who contribute to making this thing happen. So I want to thank you for making it happen and for being here today. And I want to thank Barbara Brown Taylor for writing this book, Learning How to Walk in the Dark. It has truly, truly been salve to my soul this month. And I am going to talk a little bit about the how-tos, because she gave us 3 steps in this book. Woo! I hope you can still hear me. Let's see. Let's see. JD, can they still hear me? All right. Un moment, my loves. Glitch in the matrix. I got to get fixed, you guys. All right. Let's see. How do I sound? All right. So let us get back to learning to walk in the dark. And the first step of learning to walk in the dark is giving up running the show. Giving it up. Giving up this idea that we are running the show. But the title of my talk is Hopefully. And what does hope and giving up have to do with one another? I mean, isn't hope all about not giving up? Isn't hope all about staying with your eye on the prize, holding steadfast onto how you think it should be? Isn't hope just claiming without any doubt that the outcome will be exactly as we picture it? Barbara Brown Taylor tells us as well that hope can often look like holding out for my desired results, when really hope is finding a way to live faithfully within the present circumstances. She went on to say, hope is waking up each day and surveying the present circumstances with the hope that I will rise to meet the challenges of the moment and find a way to live fully within them. Hope is finding a way to live faithfully within present circumstances. When we allow ourselves to loosen our grip on how we think it's supposed to be, to put down the picture we have in our head of how it's supposed to turn out, we actually make room for faith to rise in us, filling us with the hope that we actually need to meet any moment, any circumstance. It is not about hope for the thing that I think should be. It is about living faithfully, eyes wide open in the present circumstances, and allowing that faith to fill us with hope. She goes on to say in the book, without benefit of mature living or therapy, I had no way of knowing that the darkness was as much inside of me as it was outside of me, or that I had any power to affect its hold on me. No one had ever taught me to talk back to the dark or even to breathe into it. The idea that it might be friendly was absurd. The only strategy I had ever been taught for dealing with my fear of the dark was to turn on the light and yell for help. And I think that's most of our strategy. When the present moment, when the present circumstances are too dark, are too unknown, are too terrifying, we just want to run for the light and turn it on and have it be okay. We want to run and turn on the light and just have it look like how we think it's supposed to look. But when we give up running the show and we actually lean in to that unknown place and we talk to the dark, we begin to allow that very leaning in to loosen our grip on how we think it's supposed to be. We allow that very leaning in to loosen our grip on this idea that we're going to live our entire life in the light of the sun. And when we do that leaning in, and when we do that talking to the dark, and allowing ourselves to be in spaciousness so that we can actually have a conversation with all that we don't know. It is in that very leaning in, it is in that very conversation with the dark that the faith that is waiting for us, that the very ground of God itself that is ever present, we can discover in the dark that it's still under our feet. We can discover that that fear of what we may meet in these dark places, in this huge amount of unknown, the fears that rise in anticipating the dark, the fears that rise when we can't find our way and we don't know how to move forward, those fears can actually be melted away by what the dark has for us. That we're actually standing on solid ground, that we're actually falling into, surrendering into the very substance of life itself, the very goodness that is ever present when we loosen our grip on how we think it's supposed to be. Ernest Holmes, the founder of our teaching, I'm going to find it here. He tells that if it were not for the divine hope in us, our experiences would be more than our minds could manage. And what he is pointing to is that when we allow all of the figuring out to melt away, when we allow the nature of all that is, the nature of God itself, to be the ground we rest on, we are not left to our own devices. We are not left to our own micromanaging of life. We are left to a divine hope. The very substance of faith is what he calls it in the text. That faith is an actual substance, a reality. That when we look into the void, he says in the text, when we look into the void, we do not see an absence. What we see is a divine reality, a divine substance of faith. And it has been there waiting for us all along. And we can allow the dark to be that teacher. We can allow the dark to be that encourager to find that reality, to give us the space and the assurance that every time we close our eyes, every time the lights are out, every time we don't know, there is something we do know. There is something waiting for us in that moment that is always present, and it is a substance. It is a reality. And that is one of the beautiful gifts of this night, of this pause, of this space without the appearance of light. Is it's not there to terrorize us. It's not there to make us feel stupid or incapable. It is there as an invitation into a reality that is divine, into an actuality of good. And when we surrender into that, when we give up what we know, what we think we know, what we think should be, who we think we should be, when we surrender all of that and accept the invitation of the dark, and accept the invitation of the unknown, accept the invitation of the pause, right there waiting for us, arms wide open, is the substance of the divine, is the greater reality of what is true, the nature of life itself, and our nature waits for us there. And so when we just finally exhale and give up the busyness and the doing of the day and accept the invitation of the night and accept the invitation of the pause and allow ourselves to breathe through the fear and allow ourselves to lean into what the night has for us, what that unknown, scary place has for us. We will allow ourselves to be held by that very space. We will look into the void and see the substance of faith. One of the questions I've been thinking about a lot through this process is this idea of what we think we know and what we know that we know that we know. And one of the questions we will hear, and people will even ask us if we are audacious enough to be fully alive on this planet in this culture, is who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? And one of the questions that I think is a little bit more interesting is, who do I know I am? What do I know I am? Not who do I think I am, but what do I know I am? And it is in this dark place, it is in this place of unknown where we really can see that, where we really can begin to feel our way into our true nature that is unshakable, undeniable, unquestionable. Who do you know you are? And I offer that it is in those places of darkness that we often run into ourselves, right? Ernest Holmes also said in the Science of Mind text that it is often in these moments of hardship, in these moments of disaster, that we discover divine guidance. And some of us may come to it by absolute, what he called pure inspiration, where we just have a knowing, where we just have a guidance, where we just have an impulse that has risen from this ground of truth. But most of us have those moments, have that inspiration, find that divine guidance, discover our true nature in the midst of batshit crazy. That's usually how we get to know God. And so when we think of that reality, when we think of what is true, I mean, take a moment and think back in your life right now of those times when you were up against it. Maybe in an illness, maybe at the end of a relationship, maybe in a moment of just heart-wrenching grief, where you found out something more true about yourself, where you found a capacity for living that maybe you didn't know about before, where you were able to glimpse the substance of the divine. Share that with each other. Put that in the comments feed. Because I guarantee that is what the dark offers us. That is what these spaces of unknown offer us. They are this incredible invitation into our true nature. They are moments where we get to more fully claim who we know we are and what we know is true about God and about life and about who we are in it. So it is through the surrendering that then we can be filled with the truth of spirit, with our own true nature. And that is what fills us with the hope that allows us to meet the moment. It is that very surrendering that opens us to be filled with a knowing that literally rises us as if we are filled with helium, that rises us to meet life itself, that rises us to meet any challenge that we can anticipate and the ones we cannot. Because most of the time we can't. We can't anticipate what life is going to do. That's one of the reasons why I think sometimes we use prayer as this micromanagement tool. Like if I can just convictedly see this particular outcome, then I'll know what to expect. If I paste all the right pictures on my vision board, then I'll know what life is going to look like, and I'll be okay. I know I will be able to meet that moment because I declared the moment. But there is a greater power in you. There is a greater power that we each are standing on the ground of. And when we are walking in the light of day, it's really easy to not even realize that that is so, right? Because it's easy. I can see my next step. I know which way to go. I can see what's in the way, and I can either walk around it or, blow it up or whatever we do with barriers. But when we are walking in the dark, we are walking by faith. We are walking by a power that needs no external light, that needs no false sense of guidance. When we are walking in the dark, when we are walking in the unknown and we have no idea how to take a next step, and we have no idea how to move forward or what is around the next corner, we can then allow the substance of faith itself to be our guide, to be our power. Because that always knows. And when we let go when we let go of all the figuring out, when we let go of all the mental masturbation and surrender into this greater known, we then can allow that to fill us with the power of the one that is ever available, that is always the ground. Because that's the thing about surrendering, is it feels scary. The unknown always comes with trepidation. And when that trepidation rises and when that fear rises, there's something we can know that we know that we know. That always when I fall, God is there. Always when I stumble and I can't find something to lean on, there is God. And my divine nature knows this, is this. And so one of these gifts of this time is this pause. Is an invitation to actually intentionally go into the unknown, go into the night. Intentionally use these extra hours of darkness that we've been gifted with so that we can explore and restore our true nature. I want to share with you from Wayne Muller, who wrote this beautiful book on practicing Sabbath. And he says that it is in the rest and the pause that we are brought back to ourselves. He goes on to say that it is in this restoration of our natural rhythm that we are returned to the truth of who we are. That is what Sabbath is about. Sabbath is about intentionally taking a pause from the busyness, from the light of day, where we feel so pressured to be productive, and intentionally going into the rest and the pause and the stillness that, if we allow it, will restore us to our true rhythm, our true nature. And he goes on to say, because we cannot be permanently entrained away from our true nature. We cannot be permanently entrained away from our true rhythm. And so this daily gift of night, this annually gift of darkness, it is here for us to be reminded of our natural rhythms, to be restored to our natural state, which is people of faith, people of substance. That is our natural state. And I guarantee you, I promise, that we intentionally go into those places. That is what we will discover. I know that there may be moments of just utter crazy in our minds, and loud and noisy and constant and blah, when we enter pause, when we enter night, when we allow ourselves to get still. It takes a minute for that stillness to set in. I know, but I promise, just beyond that, just underneath that, is this true rhythm, is this divine nature that is absolute substance. It is real. And the only place we can experience that, the only way that you can actually see if my words are real at all, is to go in to that stillness. To go into what appears to be the great abyss of the unknown, the void itself, the no thing. To discover in our very beings the ground of God, the substance of faith, the greatest power that ever will be, right in our own very beings, right behind our closed eyes in the dark. And so when I say over and over again, go within, I promise you it'll be all right in there. That is why. Because my words can't make this real. Ernest Holmes' words can't make it real. The Bible can't make it real. The Quran can't make it real. What can make it real is the experience of it. And I want to share with you from Julian of Norwich, as soon as I find her. Yes, Julian of Norwich, who was an anchoress in the Middle Ages, who literally had a philosophy of life, of God. She called God Mother God because she believed that God would not give itself so freely if it did not have the nature of a mother. Yeah, back in the Middle Ages, she called God the Mother. But what she discovered was that she understood all will be well, and all will be well, and every kind of thing will be well. That's something. She said, all will be well, and all will be well. Every kind of thing will be well. And she came to this divine realization on her deathbed. After the 100 Years' War, after 3 rounds of the plague took most of her beloveds. And she came to realize in this incredibly dark place that all will be well. And all will be well. Every kind of thing will be well. I mean, I can't think of a darker place than in the Middle Ages, in the midst of the plague and the 100 Years' War, and receiving her last rites as she died. This became what she knew to be true. This is the ground of God she landed on in that darkness. And so what I offer for you is to consider when you approach that darkness, when you find yourself not choosing it, but in the dark, in the unknown, turn to this mantra. And as Mirabai Starr says, Mirabai Starr, who is an author and translator and absolute resource of mine, what she says about Julian of Norwich's realization is we can use this as a mantra. All will be well, and all will be well, and every kind of thing will be well. But not as a spiritual bypass, she tells us. Not as a way to deny the injustices and the hurt and the ugly of the world, but as a way to rise to meet them. As a way to remind ourselves that we are standing on the ground of God and it is real. As a way to quiet and still the lies and the fear and the BS and the stories we tell that we think are in the way. And so I invite you this week every night at sunset to take a moment and intentionally go into the dark and say yes to the invitation, to the reality of faith. And as you do this, and you're going to do it every day, yes, go ahead and put yes in the chat feed. Yes, I am, Amani. As you do this every day, and as you go to meet that stillness, as you go to meet that quiet, as you go to invite the restoration of your true nature, allow Julian of Norwich's words to guide you and to still the crazy. Allow those words to be your mantra. All will be well, and all will be well, and every kind of thing will be well. That is my prayer. That is what I absolutely know that I know for each and every one of us. And so it is.
My life, you're my breath, you're my smile, you a guest, you the earth, you the sun, you the grass, you are love, you're my hands, you're a bug, you're my eyes, you're a hug, you're the light in the dark, you're a spark, you are fun, you're my mom, you're my water, you the stars, you're my daughter, you're my friend to the end, you're my dreams, you're my father, the ants on the ground, the miracles that surround, I'm feeling it all around, the hemisphere and the clouds, you're my pain, you're my sorrow, you're my hope for tomorrow, you're the strength when I'm hollow, you're the path that I fall, the blessings that exist, the small things that are bliss, the gift to realize that everything is a gift.
All that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's all amazing, and I'm grateful for it all, for it all. Na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na. Grateful for it.
The blessings every time I try to count, the lessons that I learn every time I turn around, the water when I'm burned every time I think I'm found, everything I'm looking for, you're the sign and saying stop and take a bow and keep moving forward and keep looking towards your heart. Oh, open doors and only then you'll start to hear the world singing chords with your mind and heart aligned to purpose, and everything will be gorgeous.
All that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all, for it all.
Every day, sit and pray, cause what I had was more than I deserve or to ever imagine. How do I get back all this magic and spread this love so everybody can have it? It doesn't matter if I'm rich or poor, if I got a family, if I'm all alone. Bad things can happen, I could just complain and moan, but there's a million things that I can be grateful for.
So I lift up my hands now, and I open my heart,
And my gratitude flows out to everything near and far.
all that I am.
Everything I am and everything that I see, everything I hope and everything that I dream, everything I feel and everything that I be. I look deep down and feel all the blessings, everything I am and everything that I see, everything I hope and everything that I dream, everything I feel and everything that I be. I'm grateful for it all, it's amazing. Everything I am and everything that I be, everything I hope and everything that I see, everything I dream and everything that I be. I look deep down and feel all the blessings, everything I am and everything that I be, everything I hope and everything that I dream, everything I feel and everything that I be. I'm grateful for it all, it's amazing.
Na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na. Grateful for it all. Na 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 na, na 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 na.
You're the blessing that exists, the small things that are bliss, the gift to realize that everything is a gift.
Thank you, Reverend Amani, for your inspirational message this morning. Really touches my heart. And for Jordana Thompson, J.D. Falk, our ACSL players, and Susan Clark, Michael Herndon, and Tenzin as our guest musicians, Paul Cuffey, Jeff McNutt, and Clarissa Crow. And thank you for your thoughtful messages, for your thoughtful comments, and know that they are heartfelt and we carry them with us. We have a wonderful holiday season of light planned, as Jeff mentioned earlier, for you, beginning with our Thanksgiving Eve service. Please visit abqcsl.org for more details. To share your time, talent, and treasure at our center, and yes, we are still in need of volunteers, please email Jeff at community@abqcsl.org. And if there is some place in your life where you are not feeling whole, perfect, and complete, we are here to pray with you. Please go to prayer@abqcsl and request a prayer from a practitioner here at the center. And I invite you to join me for our closing affirmation by our very own Clarissa. Thank you. I am clear about what is mine to do and what is not. I participate in the perfect unfoldment of life with resilience, not resistance. You are precious to me. Have a great week. I love you.